Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to Interview with DJ Nocturna. And my guest today, of course, is the amazing alternative singer-songwriter who also played the bass for the alternative rock band Throwing Muses and Belly. And now he has his own project. And we have so much to talk about. I got Fred Abong. Hey, Fred.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me. Always a pleasure to have amazing musicians and all kinds of different and people who has this talent for so many things like you do, and we're going to talk about in a bit.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Two of my greatest passion actually is music and astrology, and you are an astrologer as well. And we were just talking about it. We'll talk about that too. When I saw that, I'm like, my eyes lit up. I'm like, oh, an astrologer. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, no, it's nice to meet someone who's got the same interests. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. So to start off with, you were you were a very big part of the music that I grew up with. I grew up in, alternative music, of course, and being part of Throwing Muses and Belly. I live in Hawaii, and I remember, I think Throwing Muses came here back in the 90s. I don't know if you were,
I was probably out by then because I would have remembered going to Hawaii, which
okay.
I've never been, and
Yeah,
I'm sorry I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the time when Bright Yellow Gun, I think.
Okay, yeah.
It was such a long, back in those days, I don't remember anything. I was like halfway drunk or something like that. The concerts. You can't remember concerts that much. I mean, you kind of remember. I mean, there's little trigger points and things like that, but
right.
But that's amazing. I mean, you have a new album that's gonna be coming out. I know you released like two singles, I believe. Is that two singles so far?
Yep, two so far. One more right around the time of the release, so there'll be three in total. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And this is your new album, which is Fear Pageant, is gonna be released on July 20th on the Seattle-based label called Disc Drive.
Correct.
And then you released two songs. I know one of them was it Father?
That was the first single. Yep.
And then My Way.
Right. That was released last week or something like that. I'm not sure.
So you have been, you're a multi-instrumentalist. How did you start out in music? Yeah, I mean, you must be so gifted. I mean, like we were talking about it, you must have a lot of Venus in your chart because you're a musician, you do astrology, all these things, and learning. Right. Well, you're also you took some time off to be to get your Ph.D.
Right. Yeah. So if the first part of the question, how did I start? I started, I grew up in a pretty musical family with 4 half siblings who were much older. So the closest in age to me was 7 years older than me, but they were all playing one instrument or another in the house when I was a kid. Guitar mainly. I had one brother who was a classical guitarist who gave lessons, so he was the most sort of accomplished. So I just kind of grew up around not just radio or people them playing their records, but them actually playing instruments. So I kind of have really strong memories of listening to like my sister playing acoustic guitar and singing, and just being a little 4-year-old kid laying on the rug and listening to that, and being drawn to that. And so when I hit early adolescence, I just decided it was time for me to learn to play guitar. And I started when I was 12 and didn't really have any lessons. One of my brothers showed me a song. I think it was Blackbird by the Beatles, which is a pretty intricate finger picking song. And I learned that, and then I just kind of took off on my own. So
kind of like self-taught.
Very self-taught, yeah.
And I know you play the drums as well.
Yeah, that was kind of my earliest desire, was to play drums and guitar, and so I couldn't afford a drum kit, so I played a snare drum. My first band was me banging on a snare drum and a friend of mine playing guitar, and we were playing Dead Kennedy songs. And I was singing. And And eventually I got around to having a kit. So again, same thing, just kind of learned by ear. And I had a lot of friends who were also musicians, so we played. Yeah.
So how did you get into Throwing Muses and Belly? I know you were, you've known KRISTIN Hersh for like many, many years.
Yep. Well, we all went to the same high school. They were a grade above me, and we didn't really spend time together in high school. We weren't. I was more in the hardcore punk scene, and they were a grade older and already kind of developing their own. Obviously, KRISTIN was writing very early, and so she had already had her vision kind of in place. And I was just more, I wasn't writing songs, I was just playing instruments in various hardcore bands. So, but they went off and, started a career in the business, and I just went to college after high school, but continued to play. And then their bass player at that time, Leslie, this was maybe 3 or 4 years into their career, said that she was going to leave. And apparently they just had remembered me from high school, and we're going to pretend to be auditioning people, but pretty much had already decided they wanted me to be in the band. So
that was Throwing Muses, right?
That was Throwing Muses,
and
correct.
then Belly came after. And so what time period was that when you got into Throwing Muses?
I think I ran into Dave in our hometown, like a video store, if you can remember those.
Oh, God, I love those. A few of them, very, I don't know how many they have all over the US, but yeah, great time.
I saw him at a local video store and just asked how the band was doing, and he said, "Oh, our bass player just left." And I said, "Oh, well, I'd be happy to throw my hat in the ring if you guys are looking for." And he said, "Oh yeah, your name came up." And so that's when that would have been summer of '88, I believe. So, and then it didn't get rolling until the next year. And I think that album that I played on came out in 1990 or 91. I'm not sure, but that was the time frame.
Wow. And then after that, then Belly came after, right?
Yep. Yep.
That was the Star. Is it the Star album? Yeah.
Yep. That's the Star album. And I kind of had already started to lose my taste for the music business. And I mean, I kind of always knew that I wanted to do my own thing. Even back then, I hadn't really, developed a songwriting voice yet. But that's kind of why I left, was to pursue that. I didn't really like the business, and I just kind of wanted to do my own thing. And so I did the one record, but I had quit before the record was even released. And I started a family and started on my own trajectory at that point.
So pretty much you went and continued on with your Ph.D. So I should be
that didn't come till a little bit later. I started trying sort of working on my own music, and then started raising a family, and sort of, my things kind of went south for me in many ways. And I had to put music on the back burner just to sort of concentrate on making money and staying alive. And so my own work, as far as music went, didn't sort of, I had to background it for quite a bit. And in the meantime, I got interested in academic stuff, and that was a little bit later. And in the meantime, I was working as a carpenter,
Wow, you did everything just about. School.
Yeah, I worked at the post office for a bit. I mean, I kind of done it all.
And so when you went back to school, taking your PhD, what did you what was your main focus?
My main focus was philosophy. My PhD is in the humanities, which is a little broader. But my focus in terms of the work that I did for my dissertation was examining the concept of identity through neuroscience and philosophy. So I would say the overriding interest has always been the concept of identity or selfhood. And so I taught for 8 years or so while I was working on my PhD. I was doing adjunct teaching and
universities.
Yeah. And so learned a lot doing that too, because I was teaching in fields that weren't my area of focus, like religious studies and stuff. So
oh, wow.
And then music kind of came charging back right around the time I defended my dissertation. I started writing like again, and I had, and it was like a 10 or 15 year gap, and I just started writing again, and I ran into KRISTIN again. I sent her some stuff, and she liked it and asked if I wanted to open up for her on a short tour of the UK, and I said okay.
And currently you are the bassist for the band KRISTIN HERSH Electric Trio, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's really incredible how music just comes. I mean, you never really lose the passion for music, even though you do other things. And
absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to come back so strongly for me, but I always knew. I mean, honestly, I had an inkling that I would be doing this again in my later life. And I'm an astrologer, so I kind of knew when it was coming.
Know. That's true. Yeah. Isn't that great when you have that background? You just know what's going to happen next. And
yes.
So now astrology, I know you're when I saw that you were doing that, I'm like, whoa, I really, I'm going to talk to Fred for sure. I love this topic already. And I know you do Vedic astrology, and I have a really good friend. I don't know if she's listening. I'll tell her to tune in. Her name is Rita. Rita is a Turka. She's a professional Vedic astrologer in San Francisco. I've known her since we were really young, and I learned a little bit about it. I don't know that too much about Vedic astrology. It's a very complex one, and but how did you get into the whole thing astrology? Because you do both Western and Vedic.
That's right. Astrology. I do both. I mean, I originally got into astrology, the Western version of it, right around my Saturn return. When and shit was going wrong for me.
Is that the second one? The second Saturn return?
No, that would have been the first one.
Oh, the first one. Oh, yeah. Wow.
And so, my life kind of fell apart. The
that's
things
like
that
way back
I thought were solid.
Oh.
And I was looking for some explanation as to why now, why was this happening? And I just picked up a random book. I don't remember what it was even now, and saw some things that seemed very accurate. And I have a kind of mind that, like, once I get interested in something, I kind of have to go all the way with it. And so that would have been back in like 1999 or 2000. And
then so your sun sign you said was Scorpio?
In Western it's Scorpio, but in the Vedic it's Libra. Everything backs up about one sign.
Libra for me in Vedic. Well, my friend told me this is a Libra as well in Vedic astrology. Sagittarius Sun, Taurus Moon, and Scorpio Ascendant. What is your moon sign in Western astrology?
Leo. Oh, and it's both. It's Leo in both.
Oh, okay. That's amazing. Yeah, I know you have a page as well. As people want to get a reading from you. It's fredabongastrology.com.
Right. Yep.
Where you do a consultation, and I see here you also do relocation charts.
Yeah, that's actually something I developed over the last 7 or 8 years. And when I was considering relocating myself, and I have like, it's interesting to be talking to you because I know I have a very strong North Node line in Hawaii.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Have you been here?
I've not. I'm dying to go. It's one of my, yeah.
Well, that means you are going to come here because it's a North Node.
That's right. It's my destiny lies.
In Western astrology, where's your North Node?
Which sign you mean?
Yeah.
North Node is in Taurus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your South Node is in Scorpio.
South Node would be in, no, I'm sorry, it's not in Taurus. Okay, I got to remember this. I get the systems mixed up. Let's see. It's in Aries. I
Oh,
got that
okay.
right. Yeah, so my South Node is in Libra.
Libra, yeah. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, there's so much to wow. That's great. So yeah, so you were saying that your astrocartography location for is in Hawaii, your North Node.
Yep.
I should look at that. I never really looked at where my North Node I mean my Venus line is actually it's very close to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on Hawaii, but it's really close to San Francisco and Hawaii, and that's where
Right.
I normally go. But
Right.
there is a Venus line right smack Australia.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I totally love Australia with all my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been there either, but that's another
There's just so
destination.
much. It's so beautiful, and there's some that it's really true what they say. Astrology, very true.
Oh, unquestionably. Yeah. I mean,
Anyway,
I've been doing it, professionally for, I guess it's over 20 years now, but
so but then how did you get into Vedic astrology?
well, when I was doing some of the study on my own for the Western stuff, I picked up a book by you may know this author, James Braha. Are you familiar with his work?
I
He,
heard.
he's got a couple of really good books on the aspects, just definite, kind of just descriptions of the aspects. And I wanted to get a reading with him. And so I contacted him through the information in the back of the book. Back then it was by phone. There was no, there was no Zoom going on. And when I set up the appointment, he said, well, I don't do Western astrology readings. I do Vedic astrology readings, even though he had written a book on Western astrology aspects. And that was the first I'd heard of the Vedic system. But I trusted his work so much that I just wanted to have the reading. And so that was the first time I was exposed to reading with someone who had written this textbook on Western astrology. And turns out he had written a very famous book on Vedic astrology for Western astrologers in the 70s. So
Wow.
it was so accurate that I had to sort of learn more about it. And that was my introduction.
Yeah, I just find that I'm still learning. I mean, constantly learning, right? Astrology. I mean, you can never get.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
I mean, if people only knew, well, some people just don't know or they don't care, and I just like, only you knew, you would have a better life. It's really true. But I mean, that's amazing how all of these things, and then you going through doing your education, pursuing more education. That's just
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of, that I think the educational piece was the last kind of element that I hadn't uh, pursued in my adult life. I knew that there was something missing, and getting that final, not that I needed a degree. I mean, I did intend to be hoping to teach, but it's so hard to find work nowadays in that field.
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
so
like
competitive, and they don't pay you well when you're an adjunct. It's so brutal. And to be honest with you, my first love is music, and now's the time where I feel like I'm really kind of on a roll creatively, and I want to sort of take that as far as I can go,
So are you still teaching a little bit on the
when
part?
I can. And
Yeah.
I do astrology readings, and we're
Yeah.
touring, so I'm sort of
Oh
gig
yeah.
economy.
Well, you're living the life. That's for sure. You're living the life. I mean, what's better than education, teaching?
Yeah.
You're an absolute teacher in that
Oh,
regard.
gee,
So,
thank you.
I mean, you totally are. I have Taurus in my seventh house,
Hmm.
and I have Uranus currently in Taurus in the seventh house.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have Jupiter in the seventh house. So, I get a lot of teachers coming in my life.
That makes
My
sense.
relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're one of them, I guess, and you're music inclined, so you're a big part of the seventh house, the one-on-one connection kind of thing.
Yes. Yes. Right. Are
So
you a musician as well?
I love music. I'm a DJ,
Mm.
yeah, and currently, learning more about the ukulele.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I don't practice it. I do more DJing work. In fact, I hardly DJ these days. Just a lot of interviews and radio DJ. I've been doing
Mm.
radio for like 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and then promoting events in Hawaii and
Mm-hmm.
club DJ. I still do events here and there. And I have Acid Wash, which is an 80s night that I've been doing for many many years. We still do it, not as
Right.
often as we did, but still around in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I music is always a big passion for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's so amazing that now you're back into doing music again, and you never really left, but now you have this album that's going to be released, Fear Pageant, and so tell us about this album. I have to remember we gotta. When I see astrology, I tend to go to astrology, but I thought we were talking about music.
That's fine with me, you know.
I know
Yeah,
we need to meet again about astrology. I would love
I
to
would love
conversate
that.
about
I
that.
would love
Yeah,
that. Yeah, anytime.
yeah. So you
But yeah, the record is that. Do you want me to say some things
yes,
about that?
yes, please.
So this is like the first time I've been able to do, simulate a band and play everything, write everything, play everything, mix everything by myself. In the past I've been, studios cost money,
Mhm.
and organizing other people to play instruments can be frustrating at times just because of everybody's schedules, and I like playing all the instruments when I can. So I just, for this record, had finally gotten my own digital audio workstation. I don't know if you're familiar with any of this stuff. It's just a recording
Mhm.
software, and knew that I wanted this to be like my thing all the way through. So that's the difference, or what separates this from the stuff I've done before, is that it's, you know, I've done it from like start to finish, except for mastering, but everything else is kind of my own handiwork.
So this album is 20 songs, and
This one's only 10.
oh yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I meant to say I'm looking. It says 10. I said 20. I don't know why I said that. Oh, because it's gonna be released July 20. That's why.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I got all
Mhm.
this Gemini things going on in my brain. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you got 10 songs. And so what is the basic theme? Do you have a theme that's centered around the title track and the title of the album?
No, I mean, it's not something I would start it out with a theme, but I tend to write in a, there's repeating themes, and so existential dread is one of them. Uh, Love and romance,
Mm,
spirituality. What else? Um,
amazing.
I don't know. Just sort of, those are the kind of, relationships, um, and kind of life as an alien on planet Earth.
That's very yeah. Wow. Now, in the past, I know you've had prior to this, you in 20 in 2002 there was Moon Man, I believe.
Wow, God, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
when
first, that's a collection of the first group of songs that I had ever written. I mean, I started kind of truly writing my own songs in around 2004. Was the first time I went in and wrote more than one song and recorded a record. And so I had a little spell there where I was cranking out music. And that kind of Moon Man is like a collection of the highlights from that period. And then there was a kind of quiet time, and then I started up again. I've had like two previous sort of uprisings of creative, like flourishing. And so I'm kind of on that third cycle right now, where I feel like I could just keep writing, like I have another record almost ready now, another two records.
A new
actually.
one. A new one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so after this one.
Right.
Oh, wow. And then after Moon Man, you had the Hand Trembler.
Right. Another one. That's another like collection of songs, from around 2007 to 2010. And I don't know what's after that.
Yeah, and then I think, and then there was a gap. I guess
Right.
I guess that was when you were continuing your education.
Exactly.
And, in your astrology. But then after that, in 2020, came Our Mother Perpetual Help.
Oh yeah, there are a couple of EPs that came before that. The first one's called Homeless, and that was 2018. And then Pulsing was another one. They both had 6 songs on them. And then Our Mother Perpetual Help was the first full length in this third cycle of writing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then after that, Yellow Throat.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's and then of course this one that's coming up.
Yep.
So the next one that you're talking about, do you have a title for it?
No title yet, but it's the first piano-based record that I've written.
Oh, piano.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it's not guitar-based. There might not be any guitar on this record.
So you play the piano as well?
I do now.
That's so amazing. Wow. So this album is must be your 7th one?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have another band record that I recorded before the Fear Pageant that hasn't been mixed yet. So that's actually me and 3 friends. Actually, Rob from 50 Foot Wave and the KRISTIN HERSH Trio is playing drums on that one. I just haven't gotten around to mixing that one. Trying to wait for the right time to get that one in shape to release. So I kind of have 2 records that are on deck.
Mm-hmm. And currently, isn't KRISTIN's Hersh Electric Trio also going to be touring or something like that?
That's possible. She has a solo tour starting in late September.
Oh, okay.
Moving through October in the UK and Europe, or UK. And then I think she's going to Australia for a few shows. And the possibility of a spring KRISTIN HERSH Trio tour is happening. And I usually when we do the trio tour, I open because it's just easier.
Yeah.
They open solo.
So you guys will be touring, you said, going to Australia. You're going to North America and Australia.
That's her solo going Australia.
Oh, her solo. So it's not part of the Electric Trio.
No.
Oh, okay. So
No.
what about the Electric Trio? Do you know when that's going to be?
It's possible for next spring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys got to stop in Hawaii for sure.
Oh my God, we'd love to.
Yeah, it's on your North Node.
I know. This is
what about
I was so happy to see this invitation. I was just
I invited a lot of musicians over here because we need more music to come to Hawaii. Yeah. Do you know what's her chart say about where if she's good, her location chart? Because if she's same as yours, then she'll be coming over here. You guys are coming together.
Yeah. Well, if I'm coming, she's coming. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow, that's big shout out to Shameless Promotion PR again for another amazing musician, and finding out so much more about an artist every time I do an interview. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so I mean, we definitely need to to do the interview with astrology related, because that's a whole different topic and it's going to be longer.
Yeah.
Usually when I interview an astrologer, it gets really long
I know.
because
I know.
it's so intricate, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But
Yeah, anytime.
yeah, I'm looking forward to having you back on the show, and thank you for joining me. And again, Fred Abong, bass player. I mean, I shouldn't even say bass because he's got so many repertoire.
No, I know that's a funny one because people who do remember me think of me as a 90s bass player guy. And I never thought of myself that way. I always knew I was going to be doing what I'm doing now, but it's first impressions kind of stick.
Well, now they're listening to this, they're gonna know what he's not. He's also a doctor. He's a Ph.D. professor. He's an astrologer on both Vedic astrology and Western astrology, and musician, and now piano player and everything else.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
No, and you were a carpenter. You mentioned you did
Right.
carpentry work. Yeah. The question is, what is it that you have not done? I guess that's the question.
Made money.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you in the show, and I'm looking forward to playing this interview and hearing more about your hearing the rest of the song that's going to come out pretty soon. The date is July 20th. Fear Pageant is going to be released on a Seattle-based label called Disc Drive.
Yep.
And currently you're in New Orleans, right?
Yes. Yeah. Have you been?
No, I should have. I have family members there, but yeah, I didn't go when they all went. I should have went. Do you have your astrological your location chart? Do you see a line going through there for you?
Well, I have some really good. I don't know if you're familiar with midpoints.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have really good midpoints there. So it's a nice place for me.
Yeah, you're home there. Yep. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Well, God, thank you, Fred. I really enjoyed talking with you, and
Thank you.
looking forward to seeing more stuff. And we'll talk again about astrology.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Appreciate it.
1 second. All right, thank you. 1 second.